Hi there everybody, I hope you've had an amazing Christmas. It's Kate from the Greyhound Trust Hall Green and I'm here today to talk to you about teeth cleaning. So you're probably already aware that greyhounds are quite susceptible to dental issues and that regular teeth maintenance is all part of being a good greyhound owner and keeping your dog happy and healthy. Now there are lots of things you can do to help keep your dog's teeth clean and I'm going to go through some of the options in a little while. What I'd also like to do today is share with you a very simple DIY recipe that you can make quite cost effectively at home that makes a fantastic doggy toothpaste. Regular teeth brushing is a pretty much non-negotiable when it comes to good oral hygiene. Although I appreciate that not all dogs enjoy or tolerate having their teeth brushed, so not all of you will be able to do that as regularly as you might like. So other good solutions for you to help keep those teeth lovely and shiny. I suppose on the most extreme end of the scale, there would be the option to have your dog's teeth scraped professionally by a vet. Now that's usually done under anaesthetic and as you probably are aware, anaesthetic is fairly risky for our pointy nose breeds. So I'd probably only recommend doing that in extreme circumstances. So if your dog's teeth have got to the point where they're really caked with plaque and it's clearly causing your dog a lot of pain and a lot of issues. The other problem with scraping is it also takes away some of the enamel, the protective coating on the teeth. So that's the reason why we don't necessarily recommend that's done too regularly. A fantastic alternative to dental scraping is an ultrasonic teeth clean, and some groomers are now providing this service. You can actually buy an ultrasonic tooth cleaner yourself, but they are fairly expensive and you do need to know how to use one properly. So definitely recommend having a chat with your groomer about regular sessions of ultrasonic teeth cleaning. I personally take my dog, even though her teeth are brushed at home regularly and she's on a raw fed diet, which includes bones that scrape the teeth and keep them clean, I still take her to have her teeth ultrasonically cleaned every 6 months by a professional groomer. So besides the professional methods of teeth cleaning and regular brushing, there are other things that you can introduce into your dog's routine that will help to keep their teeth lovely and shiny. One of those things is a rope toy. So if your dog loves a game of tug of war, rope toys can actually help to keep their teeth clean. The rope sort of acts like a bit of a floss and it can clean behind the back of the teeth. Games like tug of war also help to strengthen the jaw and the teeth. Just be very careful obviously not to overdo it. And you can just see Bee's lovely shiny teeth in there. Thank you, Bee. There are, of course, a lot of treats on the marketplace which promise to keep your dog's teeth clean for you. Now, unfortunately, not a lot of them live up to that promise. If you do want to give your dog something to chew on which will clean their teeth, then you want to be giving them a raw meaty bone. Now, this is where I'm going to add a word of caution, particularly if your dog is not on a raw fed diet, so if your dog isn't used to ingesting bones as part of their normal everyday food. So firstly, only ever feed raw bones, never cooked. Secondly, if your dog isn't used to digesting bone, then bones that you feed that they can actually swallow should initially be introduced in very small quantities. And of course, you should always supervise what your dog is eating a bone, never leave them alone or unattended with that bone. A few good options when it comes to feeding raw bones. Again, if your dog has never had them before, we'd recommend starting quite small. So you can start with things like poultry bones. Raw poultry bones are quite soft, easy for dogs to chew and digest. So you could look at something like chicken wings or chicken feet. Chicken wings, of course, you could just buy from a local supermarket. Chicken feet can often be buy dried from most pet food suppliers. Once your dog is a bit more familiar with eating bones, you could start to introduce something slightly larger, like lamb ribs, for example. Again, you only want to feed in small quantities because ingesting large amounts of bone will cause constipation or could make your dog be sick. We often hear about people feeding things like knuckle bones to dogs. Now, knuckle bones will do a fantastic job in scraping the teeth, but they're really too hard and often cause breakages. So you need to be very careful that the bone that you're feeding your dog is preferably not a weight-bearing bone, so i.e. Something like ribs or poultry would be absolutely fine, but a beef knuckle bone or shin bone would not. One quite popular option at the moment is ostrich bones. So these can be purchased from a number of pet food suppliers, and they come dried, so they are a raw bone, they're not cooked, even though they do look it because of the colouring. They're actually air dried. And although ostrich bones are of course weight bearing, because they come from a bird, the interior of the bone, if you can just about see that there, is quite hollow. This is obviously one that bees chewed earlier. So these are a really good option, but do bear in mind that your dog can break pieces off and ingest them. So again, the same rules apply as before. If your dog isn't used to eating bones, then keep sessions quite limited and only allow them to eat a small quantity, or you could make your dog quite sick or quite constipated. Now then, earlier on I promised you a DIY recipe for a doggy toothpaste you can make at home. So I'm no Jamie Oliver, but I'm going to try and show you how to make that now. So firstly, starting with your ingredients, and the main things you're going to need are some coconut oil. Now this particular variety came from a well-known pet store, but you can also purchase coconut oil in jars from the supermarket. And you're going to want some bicarbonate of soda. Now, if you want to, you could also add some herbs or spices. You could add something like parsley for fresh breath, or you could add cinnamon or turmeric, which obviously have antibacterial and anti-inflammatory properties. If your dog doesn't like the taste of coconut oil, now most dogs do, but if your dog doesn't, then you could also add some beef or chicken stock just to give it a really nice flavour. Now the recipe is roughly 1 part coconut oil to about 1/4 or 1/3 bicarbonate of soda. It doesn't need to be exact. The coconut oil really serves to create the paste, and the bicarbonate of soda is the active ingredient that actually lifts the dirt off your dog's teeth. So the first thing you're going to want to do is pop your spoon. If you take a tablespoon of coconut oil is probably a good place to start, and you want to pop that into a bain-marie so that you can melt your coconut oil. Once your coconut oil is melted, and while it's still in liquid form, you want to take, if you've used a tablespoon of coconut oil, then you want probably just under a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda. And we're going to add that to the coconut oil. Give it a little mix up. And then if you are going to add any herbs and spices, ideally add fresh, but if you've only got dried, as I do at the moment, then that's fine as well. And you probably want, if you've added a teaspoon or just under a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda, you probably want about 1/4 teaspoon worth of the spice. And again, mix that in. So once that's all mixed in, you want to then take your paste off the heat so that it can start to solidify. Now, if you're going to be transferring your paste into another container, then now's the time to do so while it's in liquid form. But if you're not and you've cooked it in the pot you're going to be leaving it in, then just continue to stir until it just starts to solidify. So once it's started to solidify and it's all well mixed in, we're going to now pop that in the fridge so it can firm up into a nice solid paste. And as if by magic, here's one I made earlier, this one with some fresh parsley, so you can see how it turns out once your coconut oil has solidified nicely. When it comes to actually brushing the teeth, there are a few implements that you can choose from. One that I don't have here, which is usually quite a good one actually, is one that you can pop on the end of your finger. So it's like a little rubber toothbrush with some rubber bristles on the end of it, and you can pop it on your finger and then you just rub your finger over your dog's gums. I've got a couple of other examples here. This is a specialist doggy toothbrush, and the bristles, as you can see there, are designed to wrap around the teeth. That can be quite invasive, so if your dog isn't keen on having their teeth brushed, then I would avoid something quite as big as that and probably go for something like this, which I personally prefer to use. This is literally just a human baby's toothbrush, so it's got nice soft bristles, they're quite small, so that is ideal really for my dog. Now I was going to try and do a little demonstration for you of a teeth clean with Bee, but I'm afraid she noticed I had the ostrich bone out, so she's now happily chomping away on that. But I'm going to assume that most of you are fairly comfortable with method, so it's very similar to how you brush your own teeth, obviously rubbing the brush over the teeth, making sure you get the ones right at the back of the mouth as well. Most importantly, you want to make sure it's a really positive experience for your dog, particularly if they don't enjoy it very much. So lots of treats, lots of praise. If they really struggle, then just try and do a little bit at a time. So if you can get the front teeth on the right hand side one day and then the back teeth another day, that's fine, and just do that gradually throughout the week as a process. Give them lots of treats and lots of rewards afterwards. And if you can make the toothpaste something that they quite enjoy tasting as well, then that definitely makes a difference. But yeah, otherwise, any comments, any questions, any suggestions, then please feel free to drop us a comment below. And obviously make sure that you like and subscribe to the Hallgreen TV YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.